when my parents broke up, which was when I was 4 or 5, my mother never spoke to my father again. In fact, she spoke to him once on the telephone, and that was it. Because that's my mother. She simply, her life, I mean, that part of her life was over, and she felt that there was no point in being friends or trying to maintain a sort of civil friendliness.
Well, I've never been so happy in my life as I am now.
Is that right? Well, that's wonderful, Liz. I think everybody's glad to hear that. It'll last.
Not as glad as I am.
It'll last then, huh?
You know it.
How do you feel, Dick?
What about?
Liz says she's never been happier in her life than with you.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It'll last a while then.
A while?
Yeah.
Watch it.
Hearing thy mildness praised in every tongue, thy virtue spoken of and thy beauty sounded, yet not so deeply as thou dost deserve, myself am moved to woo thee for my wife.
Moved? In good time. It's him that moved you hither. Remove you hence. I knew you were the first. You were immovable.
Why? What's immovable?
A stool. Like this.
Then sit on me.
Oh! Asses are made to bear, and so are you.
Women are made to bear, and so are you.
Not such a load as yours.
The conduct of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton is a public outrage and highly detrimental to the public morals of the youth of our nation. Our subcommittee is going to pursue this matter until we have a final determination by both Justice and the Department of State. I can see no difference, no significant difference between the infamous Christine Keeler and Randy Davies cases and the case of Richard Burton.
I had known him off and on for about 9 years, and my attitude was sort of resentful and like, I'm not going to be another notch in his gun belt. A lot of that was going on. And then the first day on the set, he was hungover and very vulnerable, and his hands were shaking. He asked me to hold a coffee cup up to his lips, and I was gone. He was so sweet.
Here was the most famous actress of that time, beautiful beyond words, you know, very beguiling, and also very different from anything Dada had really come across. Her manner was a very, it was an American, real, almost coarse in some ways. And I think it probably just knocked his socks off.
Was told me you were rough and coy and sullen. And now I find report a very liar. For thou art pleasant, gamesome, passing courteous.
At the outset, I don't think he had any idea what exactly was going to happen with Elizabeth. I don't think he thought it through at all. And maybe that was part of the whole experience. And I'm not going to say, oh, you know, he didn't know what he got into and it's not his fault. I mean, it does take two to tango, and he definitely made some decisions along the way.
Mary, so I mean to warm me in thy bed.
It was bigger than anything that he had ever imagined. He had never imagined himself falling in love or falling in crazed sort of obsession with someone like this. And suddenly, and not only that, but the ramifications of what it did to him in terms of publicity and, I mean, they were hounded.
Mr. Burton, your ex-wife has remarried a rock and roll singer. How did that news strike you when you heard it?
No, I was delighted. I was delighted. I'm sure that she did very well.
Has she forfeited $1 million in alimony, as we've heard?
She's very rich in her own right, you know. I don't think we have to worry about her financial standing. I think she'll manage. Occasionally I borrow from her.
Miss Taylor, does a film star ever become accustomed to being asked personal questions aboard ships at every place she goes?
Does what?
Does a film star ever become accustomed to being asked very personal questions?
No. Would you?
Do you resent them?
Sometimes, if they're too personal, I find it an affront on my privacy.
What about this news conference? How would you characterize this one?
I think you've had enough.
Our subcommittee held executive hearings this morning to examine into the administration of the immigration and nationality laws. Now, both the State Department and Justice Department representatives stated that they would re-examine their position with reference to the growing clamor to keep out persons of the same caliber.